Hi there guys, so today I'm going to be tackling the replacement of the middle and lower rollers on my side door of my Renault Master Mark II campervan. I've done this procedure a few times now over the years. I think it's due to the extra weight of the window and the cladding on the door. It wears out the rollers faster than faster than a standard door would. Either that or it's partly to do with the fact that my track has lost its plastic coating, so the plastic wheels are rolling on a rougher surface than usual. But I'm going to go ahead and get this door opened up, and then I can go about removing the original rollers one at a time and replacing them with the new ones which are here in the cab. So I'm going to have a go at opening the door. As you can see, this bottom roller is getting stuck at the moment, so it's not very easy. So as you can see, this bottom roller is completely popped out of the runners because the small top plastic wheel has shattered, which is the common failure. So I'll start by changing that one. Now to change this roller, you have to remove this bottom support arm, which is a T40 Torx, 3 of them, and then this whole arm comes off and you can fit the new roller and put it in at an angle upwards, push the top in and then tilt it down, and then it's in the roller, it's in the track. So as I mentioned before, it's a T40 Torx bit that you'll need to remove these 3 bolts. Mine's not in great condition, but it should do the job. Now these will be quite tight, so expect I have to break them loose. I've got an excessively long pry bar here, but it's just what I have to hand at the moment, and it helps just get them removed without any hassle. So they're all turning quite freely, so I'll see if I can just run them out with my fingers, which I can. Now pay attention before you loosen these off to where in the slot your bolt on your van is actually sitting. Mine's sitting at the lowest possible point to try and keep the door up as high as it needs to go. Yours may be different, so just pay attention before you release the bolts. So now the door's completely loose at the bottom, and I have this bracket removed. I can now loosen the nut on the bottom of this roller and swap it out for the replacement. So with the old roller removed, that's what the end of the arm looks like. And then pay attention to which way the arm sits on the door before you install your roller, because you don't want to fit it upside down. You want the little black wheels at the top to catch the top of the roller track. Let's see, get a bit of a better shot. That's better. So with that roller guide in place there, I can fit this slightly serrated squash nut up from the bottom and then nip it down with the provided bolt to bring the serrated edge into that surface there. Hopefully you can see. Right then, so after just a little bit of faffing, I have got this new roller installed to the bracket. As you can see, I have went for a different installation hardware choice due to the original hardware. The minute I tried to tighten it, the threads internally have just stripped. Well, they're not even stripped, they're just not even biting. There was never anything there. They're too wide, you know. The threads themselves and the insert is too wide for the bolt. So not very pleased with that. But this insert itself was a slack fit in the bush on the end of this bracket. So this bolt that I've used is a shoulder bolt and it's a much tighter fit. There's not any play there. So I'm pretty happy with the choice I've made here, with a washer and a split pin through a solid bolt that's got a lot less play in the mechanism. So I suspect that's going to help prolong the life of this roller. So now to install the roller itself, the arm needs to be tilted up and then you push the top wheels into the roller track and then it sits down horizontal and then you bolt it up to the door. I'll try and get the camera position so you can see what I'm doing, but it's a bit awkward, so we'll see how we get on. So hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing here. You have to get the arm tilted up at an angle like so and then slot it into the roller, and then now the door can push out and the bracket can be installed. Being sure to position the bracket to the same spot that it has been to try and maintain proper alignment of the door. Now these brackets, these bolts can be snugged up by hand, and then once you're getting it snugged up, you want to take a bit of the weight of the door, either with a prop or just by hand if you're capable, just to help when you're tightening down the last little bit to get the bracket seated right the way down where you want it. So it's looking pretty good. Now let's just get set up with me long bar to get plenty of torque on these bolts. There we go, happy at that. That one's nice and tight. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's now installed. Let's see how the door moves. So the roller has jumped off again, and I suspect it's something to do with the end of this track. Get you in for a closer look. So it seems to be jumping out of the track here, somewhere on this track. So the job itself has now changed. Turns out that the roller track itself, if I can get the camera to focus there, the track itself has actually given way at the end there. So I'm going to have to remove these Torx bolts, remove the roller guide, and then repair it, because I can't seem to find a replacement part online easily. So for now I'm going to repair it and then see if I can get a replacement after doing a bit more hunting. So after a bit of cursing and a bit of fettling, I managed to get this roller track finally removed from the van. As you can see here, there's a few holes where there is bolts that bolt into the body of the van along the sill line. And at the very end here, there was 2 bolts. One's still stuck in there, but it's that longer one, the second one to the end, that actually holds the guide in place. And then at the front end here, you can see the extent of the damage where the roller guide has completely given way. And again on this end there is one single stud that's welded to the guide, so I had to get underneath the van and remove a 10mm nut on the back side of this roller guide. Tricky to get to as I've got a step fitted there, but I managed to get in with a spanner and get it removed. So my plan is just to try and fix up this piece of the guide for the moment, and then hopefully be able to get a replacement part somewhere down the line. But as you can see, the wheel just totally collapses into that section there, and then the roller pops out, and it was getting stuck on this little lip here. So what I'll try and do is flatten this back out where it is, and then probably cut a section out, weld a new piece back in, because I don't think this material will be strong enough to reuse. I think it'll be worn through, so I need to put some thicker plate on the bottom side to reinforce it. So as you can see here, I have cut out the damaged piece of the rail. Here it is. It was very worn, so I've taken it a little further back than I initially thought, because the wear continues right along the rail, as you can see there. So that would have been sitting like that. You can see how much it's worn into the original metal. And then I will be piecing it back in with a piece of angle iron. So that needs trimmed ever so slightly to match the depth, and then I will trim the top off this edge here to match the return on this lip here. Right, so I'm now pretty happy with how I've got this piece cut. It's a little bit of a gap there due to the start of the curve, but overall I've got this piece of angle lined up nicely with where it needs to be. I've got a few magnets on this side. I've got a piece of C-channel here, just a little offcut wedged in so that I can clamp down onto the piece and keep it where it needs to be. so I'll then take this part in and see how we get on. This flange here obviously is way too tall at the moment, so once this is welded in place I will then cut it to match the rest of the guide. So we're back out here at the van. I've now got the guide rail reinstalled with its repair job done. You can see there the replacement patch is installed and the door now rolls freely backwards and forwards. So with that complete, now I just need to get the fixture bolts reinstalled. And a couple that have snapped, I'm either going to drill them out or just drill a new one beside it to get a fixing for the rail all the way along. So moving on now to the middle support roller. As you can see, hopefully if I push it forward a bit, the roller itself is missing the plastic wheel. Struggling to get a good shot there. That's just the exposed bearing there, so it's just been working metal on metal. So to get access to this roller, I have a clearance gap in my cladding, so I'll get on to that from the inside. As you can see, the door has to be slightly open but not pushed back. And before I can loosen the bracket, I'll get a jack underneath it with a little bit of carpet on the top of the jack just to support the weight of the door. So I'm now inside the van. As you can see, here's the little section of cladding that I have a little removable piece in the place where the bolts are for the side roller here. The door is supported by a little bottle jack at the bottom there with some carpet on the top. And I'm just about to loosen these bolts off, and then we'll go outside and remove the roller bracket from the outside of the van. So with the bolts now loosened off, I should be able to just pull this bracket out of the door, and then same again, tilt the roller up and it pops out the rail. So you can see this guide is in really poor condition. The plastic roller on both wheels has completely collapsed and it's not been anywhere near the quality it should be. So we'll get that changed out and then come back to the van. So here you can see I've got the new roller installed with the end of the pin mushroomed over there. Just sprayed with a hammer to flatten it out to stop the pin dropping out, and now I can install this onto the door. There we go, that's back in the door. Now I just need to bolt it up from the inside. I've now got the roller installed to the door and bolted back up. I'm just going to lower the bottle jack and let the weight of the door sit onto the roller. So with both the lower and the middle rollers replaced, you can see the gap between the door is fairly even all the way down the seam. It's not touching anywhere. And the door now opens freely with one hand. Which I'm pretty pleased with.